this all the time. We go in cabs in London. Me and John, we go to London sometimes. Just
Yeah. If we will actually do this in reality, we probably won't say a word anyways.
Well, taking it like that, since you're talking about each other, how about describing the other band members today? How are they on the tour? And how's the chemistry with everybody?
It's really, really excellent, actually. We're all different persons, and Ian is the funny guy. He's totally nuts, and Mick is the diplomat in the band, and Joey is a very driven person.
The bossy one.
He's the bossy one.
He's a Leo, so
Yeah.
that's a good thing, because he's a front man and they're supposed to.
He's got a lot of fire in him.
He has a lot of fire in his belly.
Yep.
That's a good thing for this band, He's very driven, and he always does everything 110%, full blast all the way. It's a very good thing to have someone like that in the band. It's great. Chemistry has been excellent.
How did you guys get the band back together again?
Well, I think the whole thing started when we did the Millennium thing. We did a couple of songs at the Millennium show in Sweden in the middle of winter, and just had a lot of fun. We did like just 2 songs, Walk the Night and Final Countdown, and that's really I think when it all started. Start thinking about, it would be really great to get back together again. But then we had some obligations to do for record companies, solo albums and stuff like that. I've done a solo album now, and Joey had done his last solo album. He's done 3 solo albums altogether, and I've done 8. I have a new one coming out next year.
I've done 14.
Yeah.
Nobody heard of it, bro. Just kidding.
Exactly.
Just kidding.
But as soon as Joey was done with his latest, or his last solo album, I should say, for his record company, and then this whole thing came up, and we had a meeting and decided that we should start writing some new songs and see how it goes.
I think that coming back together is something that always been in the back of our minds, on all of us in the band, for all these years. It's something that we always thought was going to happen someday.
Yeah.
It took, what was it, 12 years?
Yeah.
But it happened.
The Start from the Dark album, how did it come about?
Well, we just went in rehearsal and start. Well, first we just started doing some demos and stuff like that. I had a bunch of riffs, and I kept sending song ideas over to Joey in England, and he was writing some lyrics and some melodies for some of my ideas, and sent it back to me, and it sounded really cool. And he came over to Sweden, to Stockholm, and we just went in rehearsal and start rehearsing the songs, and then we decided an old friend of ours, Kevin Nelson, as a producer, who also done like Journey and Mr. Big and bands like that, and he also did Final Countdown. So I think we wanted to work with someone that we knew is a good, and we know he's a good guy, and has a lot more experience than we do actually. He started his career with Lynyrd Skynyrd back in the 70s, and so he has lots of experience. And he just came over to Sweden from the States, and we did about 10 days pre-production rehearsal for the album, and it actually went really quick. We went in the studio, did the whole album in about 5 weeks, and that was that. We didn't want to spend too much time on it. We wanted to just go in and kind of play it live in the studio, and just get a good vibe going. Didn't want to analyze things too much. Yeah, the response has been fabulous. It seems like it takes seems like it takes a little while for them to get used to it. Some of the new material, because it's quite different to the stuff we did in the old days, in the 80s. It's a lot more guitar oriented and lot heavier. Still very melodic, you know. But it was quite. I think it was quite a bit of shock when they first heard it. You know, a lot of people thought we were just going to do like another Final Countdown or something like that. You know, we didn't want to do that. You know, that's like 18 years ago. It's like,
18 years ago. We
been there, done that. You know, done
right.
that, been there. You know, it's like what's the point of
And
going?
people who listen to, when I talk to people, they say when I first heard the record, I was totally confused. Is this Europe? But then they say they listen for maybe 5-10 times, and it's such a grower. And I think the best albums are that way.
Yeah.
You shouldn't like them the first time.
Yeah.
Or if you should
Well,
be a little bit confused the first time.
well, you kind of like them. You like them, but you're not quite sure in the
Yeah.
beginning. You know, you kind of like, I don't know, and then you keep listening to it 4 or 5 times, maybe, and then it's
grows
just
on
like
you.
grows on you, and then it's like, wow, this is one of the best albums I ever heard. Because the records that I listen to, which I like immediately, I play for about a week, and I never want to hear them again. You know,
Right.
so it's one of those things.
When you talk about the songs that you're using on this tour, how did you choose your playlist?
Well, we just went, just had a meeting and went through all. Actually, didn't we all write down a list on all the songs
Yeah, I
that
think so, yeah.
that
It
each
was
guy
pretty-
likes, and then we
it
just,
was pretty much the same.
yeah, it was pretty much the same, you know. We wanted to obviously play all the hits, but also there's some really cool stuff from the first 2 albums. Actually, we're doing songs from all the albums, all our favorites from all the records. You know. You mean which one is my favorite? I don't have a favorite one. They're pretty equal to me. You know, I try to groove in all of them. You know.
I think you like to play like Yesterday's News and stuff like that.
Yeah, you're right. Yesterday's News is probably one of my favorites, and also the new songs from the new album, Star from the Dark and Flames. But Yesterday's News has such a cool groove to it. You know, it's kind of has a little bit of the Jimi Hendrix Experience kind of vibe to it. You know.
It's because it's my riff.
Yeah, it's his riff actually.
That's why I wrote
But
it.
yeah. So yeah, it's a really groovy riff. It sounds like it was written by a bass player.
Your favorite?
I would have to say News then, I guess. No. My favorite. You know, I'm a very song-oriented person. I like songs. I don't really look at it as favorite songs to play or anything. I like songs like Sign of the Times, Flames, I love. Star from the Dark, Faith. Really good songs. I like all the songs. It's really hard to choose favorites.
What's the funniest thing that's happened to each of you on the tour?
Well, for me, it was being on a tour bus, and we have problems with the toilet door. Keeps going up all the time. It's just,
Oh,
you know,
yeah,
it's something wrong with the
That
lock.
has to be my funniest moment as well.
Yeah.
Keep on.
It was something wrong with the lock, you know. So it just keeps, you know, however you say, it, fly open, you know, whatever you say, and I just always slams it, you know, because I get like.
You were standing there
pissed
talking
off.
to me, and
Yeah.
the toilet door was kept opening.
Yeah, it kept opening
in
all
your
the
head
time.
or something, and you kicked
Yeah.
it back.
Kicked it back like 3 times, really hard, and not realizing that it's actually someone who's trying to get out of the toilet. That's Mick, you know, the keyboard
All of a
player.
sudden,
He's
Mick's
just-
What the fuck are you doing?
He's trying to open the door every time, and I think it's going up by itself. So I keep kicking it all the time, you know, like 3 times, really hard. The 3rd time was really aggressive. It's like, goddamn, this goddamn door, you know. And I just kept kicking it, and it's like, and then then I realized that he's in there, and he opens, what's wrong with you? What are you doing? It's like, oh my god, what have I done? You know. So, well, the boring stuff is just the long
It happens
hours.
every
you know.
day, you know. All the traveling.
The traveling
You have
is-
to wait. You wait for sound check, and
it's the long bus rides that are hardest, I think. You know, when you go between 10, 15 hours, you know, something like that. And that's really hard. It's really boring. You're just sitting around and bumming around in your bunk. It's like, and it's not like in the States, you know, you have the night riders and you have like your own TV in each bunk, and you know, have a little bit of space up to the next guy, you know. These European buses are very small, you know. Like being in a bunk is like being in a coffin, you know. So, you know, yeah, that's the most boring part of the whole thing. A lot of waiting around and stuff like that.
So on the fun side of things, what's your favorite after parties, or what happen? Are there your after parties? What are you into?
Yeah, sometimes it is. You know, not too much when we have like a lot of shows in a row. We kind of try to.
If you know you have
stay
day
out.
off the next day, maybe we go out to like a club or something.
Yeah.
But sometimes, you know, it's like you get an invitation to go. Well, you're invited. You're very important persons to go to this place, and VIP. You sit there and you have like a fence, and people's. This depends on what country you're in. But
Yeah.
people standing there staring at you.
Yeah.
You sit there, drink champagne,
It's like
trying to have fun.
It's like an animal in a cage, you know.
It's like
I mean, it was like that
music after a show. I can't hear it.
when we were in Italy. In Italy, it was like that.
Yeah.
It was pretty nuts. They were pretty nuts there in Italy and Spain and those countries. You know, very high temper kind of people. You know, but it's still good. You know, but when we did the summer festivals and stuff, we did a lot more partying, because then you usually only do like 3 shows a week. You know, mainly on the weekends. You know, so on Friday and Saturday we do the gigs, and then you have like a whole week to recover. You know, for the next to the next weekend. You know, we go out again.
So
So
you're
then-
just about recovered. It takes
Exactly.
a week.
Exactly. It takes quite a long time these days. It's not like when you were 18, you know, when you just looked like, you know, the next day you felt fine. But it doesn't work like that anymore. It takes about 2 or 3 days, you know, to recover. But on this tour now, when we'll be doing like 3 or 4 shows in a row, then it's kind of like, you know, you just have to take it easy, you know. You just have to, you know, concentrate on your music. That's the main thing, you know, because you know, you don't want to wake up having a hangover, you know, and go on stage. You know, that's no fun. You know, you never make the right decisions then either when you have a hangover. I can't do this anymore. I'm out of here. And then you wake up like a week later on, it's like, oh shit, what have I done?
Have you, when you guys have your band meetings, what do you talk about to make the band better?
Well, we talk about how we can improve, you know, the show, you know, the set list and stuff like that. You know, the set lists keep changing all the time. You know, try to make the set a little stronger, and you know, as if you do shows almost every day or every night, I mean, you're just gonna get better. You know, it just comes automatically by itself. You know, you just get tighter and tighter. As,
Yeah, it's actually
When you
now
play.
by the end of the tour, you feel really comfortable. It's really tight and stuff. You know,
Yeah.
the best shows are at the end of the tour. At least when it's like a 1-month tour. At the end of this tour, it's really going good. I think all the gigs has been really, really good, but
Yeah.
it's a little
Yeah.
bit better now at the end of it.
Yes, definitely. You know, it's always a little. It always takes a little time in the beginning. It takes about 5, 6, 7 shows sometimes before you get into it. You know, because you might have been home laying on the couch for 3 or 4 months. You know, haven't done anything really. Been home watching the kids and watching TV all day. So it's going to take a little while to, you know, get back into it again. But you know, usually with this band, it goes pretty quick. You know, with other bands that I've been in before, I haven't been in that many bands. It's just really one American band. But it took about 10, 15 shows before it started, you know, to kind of gel.
Have you ever had a show that just went bad? You know, you started and you were just like, shit, I'm missing chords,
Yeah.
I'm off.
Happens all the time for me. But it's just such a. I don't think the audience, they don't notice.
No.
Because it's just tiny.
Such you know,
So-
when you play a concert, you're receiving yourself, everything in like
Yeah,
split
exactly.
seconds.
Molecules is like,
It's like,
you know,
okay, I missed one note in one song, and then you listen back to the tape, and it's like, well, I can't hear.
you
my
can't even hear it
mistake.
really.
It's like,
No.
But you go out afterwards, you know, that was shitty shit.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, I played like really bad, but then you listen back to it, it's like,
It's
you know,
nothing. You
It's
know.
nothing.
It's like, you know, I make like 3 or 4 tiny little bit mistakes. Never that I miss a chord or anything like that. It's just, you know, it's just when it's a lot of sweat and
When you're bending a string or something, you just lose it.
I just kind of lose it.
Split second.
Split second, it kind of gets a little sour or whatever because it's so
There's
wet and I'm so.
absolutely no one in the audience
Yeah.
can hear that shit.
No, it's true. But
What-
with the lights and everything, it makes it so hot. So I sweat a lot, and it makes it really hard sometimes to bend notes because it's just like staying in the shower trying to play a solo, you know. So I keep dripping down on the string, on the neck. It's totally soaked in sweat, you know. So sometimes it gets a little slippery when wet.
I like playing festivals, but when you play these concerts, you know everybody's there to see Europe. Every single person has bought a ticket to see Europe. That's the
Yeah.
difference,
Yeah.
and that makes it feel better.
Yes, definitely. I like.
But then again, when you do festivals, there's a lot of people there that are not there to see Europe. Then you have people to convince.
Exactly. I think I prefer festivals actually, because you reach a lot more people. You know, you play like we did in Sweden. We played with 25,000. You know, and a lot of other places out in Europe we did like 10,000, 15,000 people. So you reach a lot more people. You know, and it's outdoors, and you know, I like that kind of thing. You know? It's pretty cool.
But the record business back years ago when you started, I mean, you had a private jet flying around in the States. That kind of the record business is
Well,
not the same anymore.
but then
No.
you find out, then you learn who's paying for it. It's you. We know that today, so we won't be flying in the planes. I wouldn't say we're more business oriented or anything like that, because we don't do this to make money. We do it because we love to do it, but we're more aware of the economic side of things.
Yeah.
We make sure we
Definitely.
don't have to pay for things that other people request for us to do.
Yeah, we plan to you know, start writing some new songs now pretty soon. I got a bunch of riffs already cooking at home, and we're just
Go
gonna
bring.
yeah. I mean, we you know, we're gonna be doing a lot more touring on Start From The Dark for sure. We're gonna, you know, next year we're gonna go to Japan in January, and then in March we're planning to do England, all over the place in England, and then in Italy and stuff like that, and hopefully America as well. And then after next summer festivals and all that stuff, 2005, we're going to start doing another album. So yeah, we're just gonna keep on rocking away here. You know, that's what we do.
Who is your favorite current bands, or do you?
Current bands.
Yeah. Well,
Obviously, Red Hot Chili Peppers. Can't think of that many.
well, I like Velvet Revolver a lot. I think they're great because I'm a big fan of Slash. You know, I actually done a couple of shows with him in Sweden. This Gibson convention and stuff. You know. He's great. He's a lot of fun, and Scott Whalen as well. You know, is a singer from Stone Temple Pilots. He's a
He's
great
cool.
singer.
He's cool.
He's one of my favorites. And I like Black Label Society, which is Zach Wilde's solo band. Next to when he doesn't do Ozzy, he does Black Label Society, which is really cool. Real heavy stuff. And I like The Darkness. More on the fun side of things, more humor, kind of you know, image and music, you know. Which is, I think they're great. They're great players and stuff, you know. And Audioslave, like you said, you know, Audioslave.
Absolutely.
Chris Cornell, of course, you know, in Audioslave.
Absolutely greatest singers in the world.
He's an amazing singer. It's incredible. Otherwise, there isn't that many new ones, really.
It's not like I run out to the record store every day and
No.
find new stuff.
No. I'm still, you know, big fan of the stuff from the 70s, you know. I mean, that's when all the cool stuff. Thin Lizzy, you know, Deep Purple, Black Sabbath, you know, Frank Marino, Mahogany Rush, you know, stuff like that, UFO, you know, those are all my favorites, you know.
How did the name Europe come about?
It came, Joey came up with it. He had the album made with Deep Purple, made in Europe. It's a live album with David Coverdale.
We were called Force before, so we had to change name.
Exactly. The name was Force, you know, from the UFO album, Force It. We took it. But then, you know, a friend of ours, Yngwie Malmsteen, had a band called Rising Force. So we thought like, well, you know, we gotta change it, you know, it's too close to that. And, you know, we gotta come up with something better and stronger, you know. I think he just looked at the cover one day and it was like Deep Purple made in Europe, and he just thought, oh, Europe, that sounds big, you know, stuff like that. So that's the way it came about. And then I think he invited us over or something to his house. We had like a pool party at his house.
So I got a suggestion for a new name here.
Yeah, exactly. We had a couple of beers first. He was like, you know, worried that we wouldn't like it. You know, so it's like, so what is it? What is it? We're just sitting there. It's like, well, let's have a couple of beers first here now. Just relax. You know, he is like that sometimes. It's kind of funny, you know. He's like to, you know, hold on to the thing until the, you know, the breaking point. But and then he just said, well, band name, I think the name of the band should be Europe. And
I think you and me looked at each other.
Looked at what the hell? What is he thinking? Is he nuts? Is he on drugs or what?
But he said, give it a couple of days. Don't say anything now.
Yeah.
Give it a couple of days.
I think it went pretty quick. After a couple more beers, then we start liking it a lot, you know.
So yeah, here we are now in London. We gearing up for the last show of the tour. I must say, highly successful tour. Start from the Dark, 2004, and the last show is going to take place in the honorable venue of Hammersmith Apollo. It's a real, it's actually an honor to play that place because all of our favorite bands ever has recorded and in some way live albums or DVDs or videos back in time, like Led Zeppelin, Deep Purple, Thin Lizzy, UFO, all those bands that we grew up with listening to, they play this venue. So it's a place that, you know, it's dripping rock and roll from the walls, and we're going to be part of that. The reunion of the band. I mean, many people ask me, is this just a one-off thing, or is this just going to be one tour and one album and then that's it? And I used to answer, you know, it's not about a band reunion. It's more like a family reunion to me. I mean, we're 5 brothers, soul brothers. We're not playing soul music, but we're soul brothers. And for some reason, this may sound pretentious, but I think it's actually the way it is. You know, we haven't chosen music. Music has chosen us. We're on a mission from God. So we're definitely not going to stop doing this. I mean, this is our life. It's not something we do because we have to do something. I mean, I could, you know, go working at an office or whatever I want to do, but this is, I mean, stop playing music and stop playing with this band would be like laying down on a bench and die. You know? This is our life. As simple as that. I think the break for the band was necessary in the beginning of the 90s because we'd been touring together for, you know, almost 10 years. Been more or less living up our asses, not literally, but you know. And so we were too close to each other. We didn't have any distance to each other or to the business because we were all, you know, everything happened so fast in the end of this 80s with the Final Countdown, and all of a sudden we were like, you know, mega stars from just being a rock and roll band from Upplands Väsby. So it was all, I think we were, for a period of 5 years almost, we were, you know, under a state of shock more or less when it all happened. So what happened at the end of the 90s, or in the beginning of the 90s, I mean, obviously, when grunge came around and stabbed the 80s to death, Nirvana came, and overnight it was like the 80s never existed, you know. All the bands from the 80s, more or less, maybe a handful bands survived the grunge era, but otherwise most of the bands just disappeared overnight. We didn't have any real support from the record company. We also had some problems with the management. There were so many things that started to go a bit, you know, dodgy at the end of the 80s, and we just felt that we didn't have any vision about where we should go in the future, and who was going to help us, you know, to get there. So it all, and that in combination with us being on tour for 10 years, we just felt that we better, you know, leave it here and you know, get some distance to I think we all felt when we stopped touring that this is not the end. This, you know, okay, we need to get away from this, but it's the end. It's more, we felt that we had more to give as a band, you know, as a creative band. Oh yeah, it actually came together when we got the offer to do the Millennium show. That's when we felt that, okay, if we're gonna reunite just for one-off show, the Millennium would be it. I mean, because it's not it's not every band that get the chance to say bye-bye, you know, to one millennium, and, you know, play over from one millennium to the next. I used to say that it's, you know, it's us, it's the Vikings before us, and before the Vikings it's Jesus, you know. When he was born, they started counting time. So, and the Final Countdown obviously is a brilliant song to finish off the millennium and to start the new millennium. So, and when we did the rehearsals for that show, we just felt that immediately when we stepped into the rehearsal room, we just felt that the chemistry was back there. Within 5 minutes, it was like, oh yeah, now I remember, you know, John Oram always cranked his guitar amplifiers a bit too loud, and they were looking at me, you know, after 5 minutes. Oh, now I remember how he smelled, you know, things like that. So it was like stepping into a time warp. All of a sudden, you know, 15 years was just gone. And that's when we realized that we have a chemistry here, and beautiful music is created when us, the five of us, are in the same room. Well, the funniest thing that happened on this tour so far is that the first night on the bus, the toilet door in the bus got jammed, so John Levin had to piss in a cookie jar. So it was kind of embarrassing for him. Well, another funny thing that happened was actually when we played in Stockholm, and at a certain point in the song Rock the Night, we have a breakdown part where it's just like drums and vocals, and Joey goes up to the audience and start, you know, making them singing along with a rock now, rock the night. And in Stockholm, when we came to that part, Joey fell over a monitor, which for some, you know, shortcutted a wire, which made the whole stage, all the power on stage went down. So the only thing you could hear was actually the drums, you know, acoustically. The PA system shut down and everything shut down. So the only thing you could hear was the drums. So I just got on playing the drums while the road crew tried to fix this, you know, the power failure, which was like a major thing. It could have been the end of the show, but, you know, I just went on pounding the drums and went into some kind of a drum solo, and Joey ran back and forth on stage, and you know, people clapping, and it was like people didn't even notice that there was a power thing, because everybody would just rock now, rock, and they were singing along spontaneously, you know. And all of a sudden the power just went back on, and we just continued and finished the song as usual, you know. It was kind of a interesting thing.
So,
Favorite songs are, I would say, the first song that springs to mind is The Final Countdown. Obviously, I mean, I've played that song, you know, hundreds of times, maybe thousands of times, I don't know. And I've heard it, you know, as many times. You know, when the song was a big hit, you heard it on every radio station all the time. So you became fed up with it for a while as a song. But playing it live, I can never get fed up with that song. It's absolutely my favorite song to play live because of the response that we get from the audience, you know. It's amazing to see, you know, the happiness shining from their faces, and you know, everybody's happy, you know, just standing there jumping and clapping hands and screaming to that song. Oh yeah, the reason why I play barefoot, people ask me that constantly, and I don't know, I think it started because I couldn't find any shoes that I felt comfortable with. In the 80s, I know for a while I used, don't tell this to anybody, ballet shoes, because the soles were so thin, and I wanted to be able to feel the bass drum pedal. But those ballet shoes, I don't know, I didn't feel quite comfortable in those shoes. If I would have been Freddie Mercury, it would have been one thing, but Ian Haugland is not really like Freddie in many ways. In any way, so I couldn't find any shoes that really matched my what I wanted. So I thought, what the fuck, just get rid of the shoes. And so I started playing barefoot. And when I did that, I got in touch with the elements, you know. I don't know, it's like the whole world is, you know, you can feel the world. You can feel different textures and different, you know, if it's hot or if it's cold or hard or soft. And it's the same thing with the feet. You have as much feeling in the feet as you have in your hands, and so to me it's, you know, maximizing the impressions, especially with the bass drum pedals, and you know, to feel what you're playing. So it's become, for me, it's necessary. I don't think I could play drums with shoes anymore. I'm bound to play barefoot for the rest of my life. Okay, when I come out of a show, the way I try to wind down after the show is by taking a shower with my clothes on. I just go straight from stage, straight into the shower, more or less, or maybe crack a beer or something, just to cool myself down a bit. And but I don't actually have any other routines apart from that, just taking a shower with my clothes on. EuropeTheBand.com, don't forget it. Yeah, that we launched it exactly when we released the Start From The Dark album. That's a good thing with the internet, that you get so close to your fans. You know, you can chat with each other, and you can bring out your, you know, whatever, you know, throw a question at, you know, it's so easy to communicate. Two twins from Italy that started an independent fan club back in 1992. And then established through the internet this fan club, and has, you know, tied up members from the whole world. And this was actually the year when we stopped touring in 1992, and they've been establishing this fan club through the 90s, you know, the gap while we didn't do shit with the band. And apparently they have like thousands of members in this independent fan club. So I would say these guys, especially twin girls, Anna and Laura, sorry, they I think they've done more than we might realize in the band to keep the bus going, because they really been like, you know, die-hard fans, you know, and Yeah, on this tour we had a fake name for the part. You know, when we check in on the hotels, usually when you come in as a group, you have a name for the group, obviously, because the hotel people should know who you are when you come. So instead of, I mean, back in the 80s when it all was totally fucking crazy, especially in Italy, people knew exactly. They could, you know, just ring around. They called every single hotel in the city and checked on if Europe is going to check in there. And since we didn't in the 80s, we didn't have any, you know, like fake name on the band. We always had like a riot outside the hotels. I remember one place in Italy. It was like they had to build crash barriers outside the entrance because people were actually literally coming through the windows. You know, it was totally crazy. So we thought, in order to prevent this for this tour, not that we actually counted on, you know, that it would be as hectic as it was in the 80s, we, you know, said, okay, let's be better safe than sorry, you know. So we fake name for the for the band and called it the Mombasa Hockey Team. So that's the story about that. But we're not going to use it for the next tour, just so you know. And we also, just to be extra safe, we used fake names. And my fake name was, I mean, one of my big mentors in life is John Cleese from the Monty Python. And my absolute favorite TV show or TV series was The Fawlty Towers with John Cleese, which is about this hotel owner here in England somewhere who's very stuck up. And it's, if you haven't seen The Fawlty Towers, go rent it or buy it, because it's gonna stick with you forever. And his name in this TV series is Mr. Fawlty, Basil Fawlty. So I took that, Basil Fawlty, as a fake name. In the 80s we were 80% partying and 20% playing music. You know, we were much more consumed by the myth, the rock and roll myth. And nowadays it's the other way around. It's, you know, 20% partying and 80% music. It's because now we have the distance to the. We've seen through the rock and roll myth, and we understand that it's, you know, doing drugs and you know, being unfaithful on your girlfriend or wives is not, doesn't have anything to do with rock and roll. It just makes you feel like a fucking jerk. So I've been very lucky because you know, in the 80s I really lived the rock and roll dream. It was, you know, babes every night, partying. And even though I had, you know, a girlfriend at home, and you know, in those days I just went for it. You know, when I went out on tour, it was like entering a different dimension, you know, going into the Twilight Zone or something. And yeah, it worked for a while, but after a while I started to realize that it's not like this. It's the same world, actually, because when I, you know, get back home, okay, the fans are not there screaming at me, but my bad conscience is, you know, sticks with me as a, you know, a rucksack, you know. It was like a trash can, and I was just constantly adding crap into that, you know, trash can by being, you know, an asshole to my wife. And then after a while, you know, the trash can was full of shit, and the shit started pouring over the edges. And so at the end, she got to know about the way I lived on tour, and so we had like a big clash. You know, and she threw me out on the streets, and rightfully so. So we were away from each other for a year, and then luckily, I would say, for my sake, we had a kid together. You know, my son was just you know, 1 or 2 years old when this happened, so we had a connection. My son was the connection, the link between us. So we had to stay in touch because of our son. You know, after a year or so, we started to, realizing that there was still a seed of hope between us. So we started to, work our way through the crisis, and after fights and real, emotional, long, all-night discussions and all that, we got back together and started to working on the new relationship. And this has been taking, I would say, almost up till today, and it's a working process. It's like that with I guess with every relationship. It's a working process. It's not like you fall in love and then it's flowers and angels playing harp for the rest of your life. You need to work on it, obviously. But she's been sticking with me since day one, and I'm so grateful. She's made it possible for me to go out, and she's giving me the confidence, the freedom to do my thing. At the same time as I'm supporting my family. This is, I hate to say it's my work, because this is not work. This is fucking vacation. It's a permanent vacation, and I can support my family from doing it. This journey with the band from day one has been like given me so many experiences, and has learned me how, helped me finding myself and
Therapy.
Therapy, and helped me mature as a person, and to even though what I've been doing might be concerned or be considered being like a spoiled brat, just traveling in around the world, playing music and just being basically very irresponsible sort of, and childish sometimes. People come up to me saying, so when are you gonna get a job? Cut your hair and get a job. Well, I've cut my hair, and this is some kind of a job. But in any way, even though I've led this lifestyle, irresponsible lifestyle sort of, I think this has given me more than possibly many other, like more respectable lifestyles has given people, I would say.
This tour is a tour, we're coming back after 12 years. We didn't know what to expect. But the response we've got from the people coming to the shows is just overwhelming. We've never expected anything like that. So in that sense, I think we're just so lucky to be here. And that's thanks to all those people out there that's really been supporting us even over the years that when we didn't play, when the band was asleep. We had some support from people saying, aren't you going to bring the band back together again? Things like that. But so in that sense, I think this is you really appreciate the response you get from people on this tour more than ever before, for me anyway. A few years ago we had a lot of discussions about putting the band together again, and we were really, the main thing was that if we were going to do this, we were going to do it all the way. We're going to make an album, we're going to make a tour, we want to tour as much as possible, we're going to make another album, and then just go for it forever. And that's a plan we will stick to whatever happens. We're going to tour, we're going to make new albums, and even if this tour wasn't going well at all, we'd just go on. That's the spirit of the band at the moment. We didn't do this for the money. If we'd done it for the money, we would have just simply gone out, do a festival tour, collect some money, and do something else, and go do some just do shows for money. we wouldn't want to do that. We just want to build a good ground for the band to stand on and to build further on. The break we had, I think it was good to have it. We needed the break in 1992, and those 12 years were really good because I think we all realized what we didn't have. You know what I mean? You don't know what you have until you lose it. That's or something like that. There's an expression like that, and I think that's pretty much what it was, because we all felt that we were all doing different things musically, and I think we all sort of missed that feeling from the five guys from the same area, just north of Stockholm, you know, being back together again, just going for it.
How did you pick the songs for this tour?
I mean, there's a few songs that we're more or less have to play. The big hits, it would be wrong to leave them out on the set. So some of the songs are sort of obvious that they will be there. Some other songs we just actually tried to find. We took a lot of the old songs from years ago and actually just tried, and some of those songs felt like they were just played too fast on the record or too slow on the old records, and so we just decided to, okay, this is a good song, but it's maybe done a little bit wrong. We could sort of try and do this, find the heart of the song. I think that one thing about getting older is that you tend to have a more mature way of looking at the material. I mean, the things we did 20 years ago, we were really hyped in the studio and really going for it, and lots of adrenaline, which was good in one way. But I think that it's sorry about this. Ringer dig sen. Hej. No, I think we have a more mature way of looking at the songs, and we can see them from a distance now, and see what the songs are maybe really about. So that it's easier to have a. I think we can have a better. We can approach the songs in a much better way now than we could, say, 20 years ago. I know that some fans have reacted on the tempos of the song or slight new arrangements, but it's more like a comment. We noticed that song is faster. We did some different drum patterns on that song or whatever. But I mean, no one said it's even better or worse than it was earlier. But you know, we think it's better. That's what counts. There's a big difference now than it was, like, let's say, when we toured 12 years ago, because so much has happened with the internet. We have this Europe homepage, which is europetheband.com, where we have a forum. We also write a diary, and we put in photos there so people can just go in there and check what's going on with the band. At least now when we're on tour, I think it's cool for those who like to know more than just listening to the albums. I think it's cool that they can get information of what's going on with the band at the moment, and also they can give their points of view and sort of talk with other people around the world that's interested in the band. We wanted the band to be the ones writing on the site, and also sort of be the ones interacting with the fans. So the store has been mainly Ian and myself that's been taking care of that, and also Joey. And it just feels good to be able to have this communication with the fans. which would be impossible 12 or 15 years ago. I played in Norway, and we were sitting at the hotel, and this very thin, tall guy walks up to us and says, "You're Europe, right?" "Yeah." And he spoke a little bit with an accent, and it turned out he was from Spain. So he had been riding his bike from Spain to Sweden to see our show at the Sweden Rock Festival, but it was sold out. So he had to keep riding his bike to Norway, and that's where he finally got to see us. And then he went back to Spain
By bike.
by bike.
Uh-huh. And so did you guys give him some backstage pass or some private after party pass or something?
Yeah,
He's a pretty loyal
yeah,
fan.
Yeah, sure is.
Riding bike all the way.
To be honest, tour can be pretty boring. Because after like 2 weeks on the road, you really get into the same things happening again and again, just a different wall, just a different road. Except for that 1.5 or 2 hours you're on stage. That's sort of what helps you through the tour, and that's the point of the tour, of course, as well. But I mean, that's 2 hours, not even every day. That's fantastic. I think this tour, more than ever before, I think we all feel that the crew, it's the best crew we ever had, and the band and the crew sort of, you turn into a big family, especially if you have a night off and you're in the same hotel, the band and the crew. It's just great to just relax together. Europe got famous in Sweden when winning a rock competition, Battle of the Bands kind of thing, and the prize was to make an album. And the thing was that the guy who organized that whole thing, he until the bitter end, he wanted the band to sing in Swedish instead, but it was just a no way. So it's always been English, and it's always going to be, because that's what, to us, that's the natural way. When you hear the kind of music we play, or when you hear that, it's you're supposed to sing in English. Europe's never done a song in Swedish, and I very much doubt we will ever do it. And there's a reason for that, because all the bands we listened to when we grew up, they were all singing in English. It was all American or English hard rock bands, as I guess the music was called then. And when we started playing ourselves, it was never a question of what language we should sing in. I mean, today I don't have like a favorite artist, not the way I used to have. You know, when you were really into band and you wanted to know everything about the members and all the music they ever did. I think now it's just, and also the taste now is so much broader than it was when I was younger. I listen to really almost anything. Of course, I enjoy music that's well played in one way or another, or played with great feeling. But I can also enjoy something like these fabricated artists. Some of that stuff is good, but that's usually not the artist that you see in the videos. It's usually not the artist. It's the songwriter and the guy producing. That's the real artists in that case. And I can really appreciate some good handcraft from those people.
So we're back in London. It's great actually, because I live here now and been away for a month, so it feels like coming home. It's great feeling, and also to play at Hammersmith again. When we first played at Hammersmith, and I think it must have been '88 or something, it was just the greatest feeling, because we knew that all our heroes had played there before, you know, Thin Lizzy and stuff. It's just a magic place to play. So to end the tour at Hammersmith tonight, it's quite a treat. special for us. Well, this tour has been special in the way that the audience have welcomed us back. You know, we've been away for a moment, and you know, we did some solo albums, did some other stuff. It's been so special. It's been like a warm feeling all through this year, because we've been on the road for a while, and we did festivals in the summer as well. It's just been that warm feeling on this tour. You know, that we have people out there that haven't forgotten us. It's just that sort of tour. You know, it's just a warm feeling. It's great. We're doing this for the future. We're not doing it for nostalgia or just doing a reunion. We're doing it for the future, to take the music where we can take it, and tour where we can tour, and become a touring band again. Because when I met John Norum, when I was about 14, 15 the first time, we were riding around in mopeds and stuff and outside Stockholm, and I heard rumors about him in another band, and I think he heard about me as well, and we sort of met up and said, let's start a band together. That sort of feeling and that dream that we had then was to become a working band, a touring band, and it sort of feels like we're there again, and we want to put some hours in. You know, we want to keep going, do more albums, and so this is the beginning of sort of phase 2, if you like. You know, all of these guys come from the same area. We grew up, we met as teenagers. I mean, I met John John I probably met when I was 14, 15, you know, hanging around, had a few beers, you know, talking about Deep Purple, talking about UFO, and and Ian just lived 10 minutes from us. Mick also came from same place. I saw him in college first time. I borrowed a keyboard from him. As a matter of fact, the keyboard I borrowed, I wrote the theme for Final Countdown. So he wasn't in the band, but he was the guy in school that had a keyboard, and I was like, I'm going to hassle this guy. And he remembered this to this day, that I was a bit of a nuisance, because I was like, can I borrow your keyboard? He was like, I don't know you know, why should I, you know, I just need to, I've heard this thing, you know, that you have this great keyboard. So that's how I came about writing Final Countdown. That was long before we actually put it on the third album. But, so what I was trying to say is that, you know, we come from the same place, and we're back to that feeling again. We're back to that, we take care of each other. We know each other since a long way back. So that's a great feeling. Yeah, Start From the Dark. Well, it started really with a meeting, like I said, when we said, let's go forward. Let's not think about the past. Let's not think about the 80s so much. Let's go down in rehearsal. Let's come up with a few riffs and build it from now, from nothing. Like this is the first album that we ever made. That was the idea. Like a young band doing their first album. Let's do it that way, and let's record it raw. Let's make it heavy. Let's follow what John wants to play on the guitar. We'll follow that. What Ian wants to play, we follow that, and what I want to sing. So that it's completely us. And, you know. So we started with a few riffs from John. He sent it to me here in London, and I put it together, put some melodies, lyrics. It was those songs were the first songs were Got to Have Faith and Start From the Dark. I sent it back to him when I finished everything, the demo. And he sent it to the other guys, and everybody was like, yeah, we have a beginning here. It's like, this is great. And then we build upon that. Then I started writing again myself. So I wrote 4 or 5 by myself, and I wrote one with Mick, and a few more with John. And it was a great feeling to write with John again. And it's just happened really fast. I think we finished the writing in 6 months, and then we recorded it and mixed it and rehearsed it in 40 days. So we wanted to capture a moment in time, really. We didn't want to overwork it and redo it. It was just something that happened. My favorite on the new album, as right now, I feel it's Flames, because it had turned out that it works really well live, and also we found out later on that a lot of people listening to the album are reacting to this song. They're also, you know, I love playing the Got to Have Faith and, you know, Hero, Wake Up Call. It's great live, and these songs are just finding their own life now on the road. So some of the songs will stay with us forever. Some of the songs will maybe not ever be played live, but that's how it is with albums. You know, you find the songs on the album that will go with you forever. So on the next tour and the next tour after that. The way we picked songs for this tour was a bit more difficult, because we had 5 albums this time to choose from. Let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 with a new one. So there was a few discussions. No, we can't do that. Yeah, but in the end, we decided to do maybe 4 or 5 from the new album, and then mix it up. And we do songs from the first and the second album as well. So I think this band is in a period of transition right now as well, because we have the catalog of the Europe songs, but we also have a future. We wanted to make more albums, so we have to sort of make everything. This is a period when we play both, Well, before the show, I try to psych the other guys up a little bit, give them a bit of a punch in the stomach, or get everybody going, because that gets me going. So I sort of, just hype myself up a little bit. I warm up my voice a little bit. I have a cup of tea, a cup of rosy, as we say in England. Just, and then start getting together with the guys, get in the same room, get the vibe up, get the energy up, find a way of just talking to each other, asking who's nervous and who's not, just talking about things, I mean, for me personally, as far as connecting with an audience, the Madrid gig was quite amazing. The way me as a front man and the audience sort of connected and talked and sang together was just amazing. So I had to say the Madrid gig for that reason. But there are gigs like where we played really well, or at least think we played really well, like Pamplona or Sundsvall earlier on, where we think as players did great jobs, whereas the connection with the audience might have been different. It happens that you have a bad show, not a bad show, because it's a good band, and we've been out for a while now, so we can generally deliver an okay show. But personally, it could be a thing for me that my voice didn't work on the first 3 songs, and it took a while before it turned. That happens to me sometimes. I get to a point when the voice starts clicking. Okay, here we go, and that can sometimes take a few songs, and then I go backstage afterwards. We recorded this gig, and the first 3 songs, that was just sort of not so good, or John can come in and just, it could be a simple note, it could be like a very important note in a solo that he just hits wrong, and it can stay with him, and he can sit for hours after the gig. Oh man, I screwed this gig up. So yeah, it can happen to anyone in the band really. It's worse for the keyboard player, though. It's worse for Mick, when you play the Final Countdown or something and you take the wrong note on that. It actually happened. I think it happened on this tour. You should ask him about that. I don't know what it was, but it was quite funny, and it makes us laugh on stage as well. That's kind of funny. He's got a difficult instrument. If he makes a mistake, we can hear it, especially on those songs.
And then after the show, like when we were with you, you kind of went an hour alone or something. Do you have some kind of normal decompression that you have to go through after the show?
Yeah, it varies a little bit, but if it's a hot gig, sometimes they are very, very hot, and I sit down for half an hour. I can't move, so I'll sit on the couch for half an hour, just talking to the guys. How did it go? And the light engineer and Kulan always comes in, says how his gig was. The Pontus comes in, the sound guy comes in, just talks quickly, and we just sit there, then slowly you start coming back to life, start drinking maybe 1 or 2 liters of water or whatever. What happens next is, and there's the big dilemma in the rock world, should I have a drink or not have a drink? It's that old. It's really hard to wind down after a show. I mean, that is an energy, it's such a release, and you go off to another dimension for a while, and hopefully most of the audience go there with you. So after that, it's sort of euphoric as well, because I'm euphoric after the gig. I need to come down somehow, and I understand a lot of people, taking a drink or whatever. But it's hard. Let's put it this way, and I said that earlier too. It's hard to go back to the hotel room and drink a cup of cocoa and read a book. That is the difficult thing. So usually you think, what's going on in this town? Should we go out, or we're taking it easy, or is it a day off tomorrow? Should we have a drink, or that kind of thing.
Has there been much partying on the tour?
Not too much on this. A few nights on this one, because this one was a tight 24 gigs in a month. That's quite, for me, it's quite hard. For the voice, I try to relax. Maybe a few nights of some partying going on. On the festival tour is different this summer because then you have a few days off all the time. You play sort of Friday, Saturday, maybe Sunday, so then you have a week to recuperate. And we had some quite wild parties on the festival tour, but we're generally a bit more. We behave a bit better now. We sort of work out before the tour and jog and get fit for it. Right now, with the feeling we have with the fans and with this tour, I really enjoy touring at the moment. But normally, as a writer, I like being in the studio and I like preparing for an album. But nothing can beat the buzz when you play the Final Countdown or a song from the new album and they really like it. Nothing can beat that feeling on the road, and also the friendship with the band right now is really good. So, but normally I do like studio work and writing songs a lot. We started out when we were teenagers listening to music, even earlier when we were kids. I listened to English bands, English and American bands. So when I started my first band or whatever when I was maybe 10, just a fun band, wasn't that serious, but we were trying to sing in English because it was a natural thing. It was something that we really wanted to do. It sounded better. And also I was lucky. In school, in Sweden, you start learning English by the age of 9 or 10, and I was lucky because it was an easy thing for me. My teacher said, well, you're good with languages, and I was happy. It was the English subject, English language in school was easy for me, so that was great. So that meant I can listen to rock records from England and America and really relate and understand and start writing my own songs in English from the very beginning. So when I met John Norum, about 14, 15, we started Force. Force was the band before Europe with John and me in it. We sang in English immediately, and I started writing songs for the band. And so we always wanted people to think that we were more of an international unit. We could go and meet people everywhere. We could sing in English, and the bands we listened to, Thin Lizzy and Deep Purple, we listened to their live albums. They went everywhere and played, and we wanted to do that. That was our dream. Our dream was to become a touring band and tour in Europe and tour in America. Swedish people and a lot of European people, they listen to the melodies and the sounds first, but not all of them. Maybe it's a percentage before they listen to the lyrics. But since living in England and since living abroad so long, especially living in England, I know they listen to the lyrics. There's no doubt. If you have in England, if you have a naff lyric idea, if you sing something naff, they will know. They'll listen to the lyrics.
So the content's important.
The content's important, and I've noticed that now. On my last album, I finally, beginning to write lyrics more fluently, and it's because the example you can take early Europe songs. The titles or the lyrics were simply to be part of the song, to be something that just sounded cool. Like we had a song called Ninja, for instance, a long time ago. Well, it was on the Final Countdown album, and it was just a song with those notes in the song. I felt like, yeah, it'd be great, it sounded good at that time, but now I wouldn't do that. I would think more about, what is it I want to say, and what's going on around me. I can handle that now, so I can say a few of the lyrics with early Europe stuff is naive, but it's got a charm to it because it's kind of catchy when it comes.
Joey's favorite band of all time?
It's probably Thin Lizzy and U2, those two bands, because there are bands that lasted a while and they were great live. It's great melodies, great lyric ideas. It just moves you when you hear it. But I think it's important to mention how important it is that John Norum is playing with us again. I mean, we did the first 3 albums with John. what happened to this band was, as I explained, we were a dedicated rock band. That was our dream. We wanted to tour like all our heroes, and then we wrote this song that was 6.5 minutes long. It was meant to be an opener for the show. It was for the fans. We needed an opening for the show. We needed something exciting to open the show with. That was Final Countdown. We've been a rock. We felt like we were doing our role as a rock band. Then that song came along, and all of a sudden, this circus started with playback shows, promotion tours without playing live. So this band actually went out on a promotion tour for 2 months without playing a note. We were doing playback shows, miming. Sometimes I sang, do sing back. But John didn't play his solos. Frustrated him completely. It was one of the reasons he didn't want to do it. They said, I gotta go and do some solo albums. So we continued without him for a couple of albums. And I always kept thinking about him. We kept calling each other. I went to California to see him, sang on one of his solo albums. He came and played on one of my solo albums. I guess what I'm trying to say is that it's a great feeling that John is back. He's, to me, one of the best. John is one of the best guitar players of this genre. I think he is the best. I mean, I can stand there and look at his fingers and just be mesmerized. It's like, wow, how do you do that? And I remember when I was 14, 15, when I saw him the first time, I felt the same way. He just speaks to me with his playing, and he really triggers me to write music. John, when I write a song, I have John in mind for the riffs and the solos, and when we write together, we get that automatically. So I just wanted to add that. Well, Mick is a great friend. We've been hanging out a lot in the years in between. He came to see me when I lived in Ireland. He came to see me in London. He's also the kind of guy that keeps. We used to meet at his place in Stockholm, all of us. So he was kind of the meeting point in Stockholm. So he's sort of a very nice diplomat. It's, he could be the diplomat in the band, And Ian, ever since he came into the band, he's just brought a breath of fresh air. He's a good energy, good drummer, and he's got a positive energy. His smile, he's a very important part. John Levin, he loves touring. I mean, this is his home. I remember in '92 when we said let's take a break, he was like, oh no, we can't, this is home, we can't do this. He's in his right element, and he's really nice to have around. He's quite, a thoughtful guy. He comes out with he's quiet, but he's clever. He comes out with thoughtful things, and he can come up to me and say, Joey, do you think we really should do that? Maybe we should do that instead, and he's got a good conscience for the band, Great bass player as well. He used to play guitar a long time ago. So he's got a good sense of finding notes. That's all of them, I think. Do we have more members of the band? I don't know. I don't think so. Here we are. So, Hammersmith Odeon. Calling Apollo, as they call it now. They change the name all the time in this place. When I was a teenager, I came all the way from Sweden on the boat. It took me 24 hours on the boat, then a bus, then came here to see Thin Lizzy. I was so nervous, and we walked in here, 2 guys. We're up on the balcony, and we saw Thin Lizzy play live, and things were never the same after that. It was great. But I waited around the corner there for him to come out, but they didn't come out. So I didn't get an autograph or anything, but he was still my hero. I didn't care. I did get to meet him a few years later in a secret gig in Stockholm. Phil Lynott was standing all by himself in the corner, and I was so nervous. I said, I gotta go up to him. I gotta say something. This is my chance, So I walked up and I had a question, something about singers and influences, and I don't remember. And he was really kind to me. He spoke to me for 5 minutes. So he changed my whole perspective, my whole image of how rock stars can be. Because I've heard rumors about, they're not going to talk to you. You're not going to, they're just, despicable people, you know. But he was really kind, and that's why we wrote this new song, Hero, as well.